What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another Friday night. You know what it is? It's live, it's interactive. It's the Play Caller Sports Talk Show. So, as you can see, I am joined tonight by my co-host, who is going to be off camera, but is joining us via audio only tonight. The one and the only, Mr. Cool McCain. And of course, I'm Stephen Box, the other half of the dynamic duo of Interactive Sports Talk. And together, we are the Play Callers. Yes, sir. So, man, we're gonna be kicking it off tonight. Talking a little NCAA. We've got talk a little bit about the upsets. We're gonna go and pick the rest of these Sweet 16 games, as well as let you know who we got going a little further in the tournament, and then we're gonna talk about all this big NFL news as well. So a lot to talk about tonight, man. I know we got one game getting ready to start, so let's go ahead and get these rest of these Sweet 16 picks out of the way. Some of y'all might have noticed my co-host has changed his name. So that will tell you who he's going to be picking for one of the games tonight, I'm sure. Although he did pick against him when we did our bracket. I'm sure that's going to change. So coming up here in about 7 minutes, man, allegedly. You know how these tip-offs be. We've got St. Peter's Cinderella at Purdue. Well, not at Purdue, but you know what I'm saying, going against Purdue. So does Cinderella continue to dance, or is Purdue too much?
Well, man, the one thing we can say is that St. Peter's has been going very deep. Personally, I'm going to say I think they continue to go deeper. Let's go St. Pete. Peacock Power.
I don't know if I don't know if it might be your headset or what, man, but I'm hearing a lot of static.
Is that better, sir?
For right now, yeah.
Excellent.
So you got St. Pete going, huh?
Peacock Power.
I can tell you, man, it is National Peacock Day, so you know there is that to consider. To me, they've got to continue to really hit the three ball well. Where I feel like Purdue has a really big advantage in this game is with their size. So if Purdue can take advantage of that matchup and score points inside, I think that they can actually win this game. It would take a really great shooting effort from St. Peter's. I got to tell you, man, I think this is where it ends for Cinderella. I'm actually going Purdue.
Well, one of us is going to be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be the first time. All right. And then kicking off here in about a half hour, we've got Kansas at Providence. So this is a 1 versus 4 matchup. This is the final one that's actually left in the tournament. Who are you taking?
Well, they're going to be the final one left in the tournament after this game. Rock Chalk Jayhawks.
Yeah, I'm also taking that.
Kansas will definitely win.
Yeah, I'm taking them in this one too. All right, I feel like this is like Captain Obvious question here. UNC versus UCLA. Are you taking the Tar Heels in the upset? Are you sticking with your original bracket pick and taking UCLA?
Yes, and destroyed anyway. So let's go with the hot team, UNC.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stick with UCLA, man. I think this will be the end for the Tar Heels, but you know they definitely have a chance to win the game. But I'm just going off of what you said before. They've played 2 really good games in a row. Usually spells trouble for this team.
That's not enough for them to have a bad game. When we get to 4 or more, that's where it spells trouble too. That's not enough. This will be another good game.
Okay. And something that I don't think too many people had on their brackets, a 10 versus 11 seed. Miami and Iowa.
Well, I actually had the Miami half of this there, and I'm going to
You
stick
did.
true to the only part of my bracket that looks correct, and we're going to continue with the U.
As a Florida State fan, I hate to pick Miami to win anything, but I'm going to pick them to win this game. So there you go. There's our picks for the remaining Sweet 16 games. So let's kind of cover real quick the rest of the Sweet 16. We already know a couple of pieces that are going to the Elite Eight. We've got Arkansas with a big upset over Gonzaga. So the question here is, Arkansas has now beat the AP regular season #1 and the AP tournament #1. Do they actually really have what it takes to win it all?
They definitely have the opportunity to. Here's the thing. A lot of people consider this an upset, but you have to ask yourself, when is the last time Gonzaga has won a championship? They've been ranked 1 or 2 in a region for many years, and they always seem to have the same outcome. Sweet 16 or later, they always seem to lose. So when I get to Sweet 16 with Gonzaga, I don't consider their opponent an underdog. I consider it a 50-50 game at that point. So for me, beating Arkansas, beating them, that's good for Arkansas. I think they definitely have a chance because you've beaten the #1 team, the overall #1, as well as the #1 in your region. So, big props for that. The way the tournament is going is just a matter of momentum. And that's the thing that's very important for everyone to understand. When you look at the games, it's momentum. If you know who's playing well, it's momentum. To bounce over to another game, Duke won. Okay. Duke won because Texas Tech did exactly what I used to say about Tom Brady and will continue to say again now that he's back. You do not allow the referees to be able to determine the outcome of the game. It's the same thing that happened with the UNC game, right? For us to win, 24-point lead with 11 minutes left, we had to beat the referees and the other team.
Yeah.
Texas Tech did not do a good enough job of putting enough cushion in between them and Duke. So it got to critical points in the game. There were some walks, some missed fouls, some questionable fouls called against Texas Tech. In the last couple of minutes, you put yourself in a position where you're allowing outside factors to determine your game. When you're going against a team like Duke, this is Coach K's final run. They're going to do everything they can to get him at least in the Final Four. So what you have to do to beat that team is you have to go in, you have to put your foot on their throat, and you have to leave it there the entire game.
Yeah. No,
and you still might get Duke team needs to understand, and Texas Tech didn't do a good enough job of jumping on them early.
Yeah, I don't disagree. We also had Villanova handling their business against Michigan. So they're going to the Elite Eight. Do you have anything you want to add on that game? I mean, it's pretty much what we expected, right? Then we had Arizona going down to Houston. So 5 seed beat another one.
I mean, Michigan had a better run than it is.
Oh, I think your internet had paused.
So the thing with Arizona is
like way late.
They were a good team in the regular season. The good thing with Arizona is, with Arizona, you're looking at a team that they out-accomplished their own expectations for where they thought they'd be by this point in the season. A lot of people had them as well as many other #1s or #2s or other seeds that have lost.
Yeah.
And what we have to all understand, because my team's out as well, what we have to all understand is we have to really look at who's playing well, and that's who we need to go with. We're obviously down to 16, so it's much easier to pick now, and then some of those have already lost. So we're getting to the Elite Eight. At the end of the day, the team who is hottest and has the best matchup, two of the things that I've talked about since before this tournament started, I'm going to continue to talk about. In order to win an NCAA championship, you do not have to be the best team. You have to be playing the best during the tournament and get the best matchups.
Yep. Yeah.
That's what we're going to see this year.
So right now, potential homerism aside, who would you pick as the most likely team out of the 12 teams we have left right now? Who would you pick to win it all?
I think Kansas is the best choice at this point. Obviously, we've lost all the number ones except for Kansas. We haven't had a situation in many, many years where there has not been at least one number one to make the Final Four. So I believe that they're going to get there. If you happen to be in their way, But I think what's important is going to be the matchup. So who do they end up, if they get there, facing on the other side? That's going to determine a lot. But I think if you're just looking at the teams that are left right now, you have to roll with Kansas because they have the best resume. They're hot themselves.
Yeah.
They match up well with most teams. They have a dominant inside game. They can score, and, they have solid coaching. So you have all those things put together. That's a recipe to make a run. And like I said, they've never been considered the best team in the country, but they definitely were one of the 4 best by the end of the season.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think they're obviously, being a number 1 seed, you have to at least give them some credence there. I think Arkansas is a team that's playing with a lot of momentum right now. And, you always have to look at momentum. And momentum is one of those things that can either work for you or against you, right? And that's going to tell us a lot about this coaching staff and this team is if they go out there and they start overfilling themselves and they lay an egg, versus do they use that momentum to keep going? So that's the team I'm going to be interested in kind of really paying attention to going forward to see how they react. Because now there's some expectations. Now people are starting to actually talk about them and really giving them some credit. And we both have seen in the past what happens sometimes when you start getting credit.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we're not gonna go back through like all the first 2 rounds of the tournament here, but do you have a particular matchup, an upset that you were surprised by early in the tournament here?
Every St. Peter's win was a huge surprise to me.
That's fair, man. That's fair. I know you were very disappointed.
That's the truth.
You were thinking
It's the
Longwood
great
was going to do it.
Well, I thought Longwood would be able to get at least 1 win, but I wasn't expecting St. Peter's to go so deep. So, it's one of those things where, hey, it doesn't quite play out the way you anticipated playing out. But, I mean, I love it when you have that school that really doesn't have a chance in most people's mind, and they're able to get a couple of wins, right? Slide into the Sweet 16. I think that they can continue and win another game. Obviously, you don't think that they can, but either way, they've won multiple games in the NCAA tournament, and they were highly favored to lose in both of those games. So I think those are great wins because it helps put a program on the map, helps people put a program in the forefront and people to see that program. And we're going to be talking about this run for probably the next, 5-6 years for St. Peter's, whether they get back or not. So that's going to help with their profile. That's going to help kids say, I can even, get some love, get people get some eyes on me in St. Peter's. So that's always a good thing for these programs. We need more programs to just be.
Yeah, I think, man, like that's one of the things I feel is a good argument for why we need to expand out the playoff system over on the football side, right? People are going to look at, Cincinnati went out there, they really weren't that competitive, and it just shows that non-power 5 schools shouldn't be, in the playoffs. But, you know, at some point, you get one of these teams that goes on a nice little run, they win a game that you don't expect them to win. It really ups the profile of that school. It really starts telling guys, hey, like you don't always have to go to a Power 5 school in order to get to the next level. Um, and then we have guys who get drafted from smaller schools now, but those are just more opportunities. Because what's the big knock on guys? A lot of times when they go to non-Power 5 schools, they haven't played the same level of competition. Even getting that one game and people getting to see like how you do against top tier competition can make or break a guy who might be going to the NFL. So I would like to see them do something on the football side where it's that same experience, because that's like you pointed out. That's the great thing with college basketball is some of these small schools, they go deep in the tournament and they
Right,
make a name
right,
for their
right.
school. So yeah. So man, that's enough basketball talk for the time being, man. Let's jump on over to some football, man. And guys in the chat, if y'all want to let us know about, any particular game that you're excited about, any matchups or upsets, anything that you want to, talk about, feel free to drop that over in the chat and we'll bring it back up a little bit later. Um, I don't know, somebody over here in the chat, man, talking about some, European football. We don't talk that stuff here, man. It's not what we do.
You say European football. Hey,
Yeah.
man, you got to respect the international game of football. You know what I'm saying? You got to respect it.
I respect it, man. It's just not what we talk about. There's a difference.
Yeah, man. But we
But I
do say,
respect
hey,
it.
no, we do say, hey, man, put in the comments what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I would challenge this individual to give us some information on European football.
Well, we will see if they accept your challenge or not, sir. So let's jump on over to the NFL, man. I don't know. Did anything happen this week? I mean, anything at all? Anything noteworthy? Some dude named Deshaun Watson got traded for like 6 different draft picks. Well, so let's talk about this. So first of all, for anybody who did not see the news today, there was a so Eric giving his European football love here. Go me and you. If anybody did not see the news, there was not a second suit, like not a separate suit that was filed against Deshaun Watson, but one of the 22 people filed in 2 different places. So that jury also today elected to not file any charges in this trial. So as of right now, there are no pending criminal charges against Deshaun Watson. Could obviously still have civil litigation that goes on. But the Cleveland Browns traded 6 draft picks for Deshaun Watson. What are your thoughts on the trade, man?
I think this
having some audio issues.
got best case scenario because Cleveland was so sick of what they had at quarterback, history at the quarterback position. So they decided to say, you know what? We got a guy here who is 26 years old, entering the prime. He hasn't played football for a few years, so he should be relatively fresh, relatively healed from injury, and then this whole situation is happening. There are no criminal charges that are going to be filed. Civil charges, obviously, pending. From his press conference, he's vehemently saying he's not guilty, which case I don't believe he's going to settle civil suits, because if you don't feel that you're guilty, you're not going to go that route. So I think what we're going to see is another piece of news I'll go and tie in here, because think about this. OBJ left because he was unhappy with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is leaving because, and Baker Mayfield is leaving because the organization is unhappy with him. So you could get possibly Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry back, or one or the other, to play with Cleveland now. They left on good terms from entering his prime. I don't think you can argue he's a top, 7 to 10 quarterback when he plays. He's done a lot with not much in Houston. So now he's going to be in an organization that has weapons, that's been building for a while, whose main Achilles heel has been quarterback, and he should take care of that issue. So I think this is a great win for Cleveland. I understand what you had to give up, but you are one of the organizations that I would recommend, hey, you give up what it takes to get the QB, because you evaluating talent yourself. You attempted to bring your own quarterbacks, has failed for 20 years. So go get one that you know can get the job done and pay him to keep him there. And they did what they needed to do on that end. So kudos to Cleveland. Kudos to Houston for getting what you can back, because you're now in the position this year or next year to say, you know what, we got a lot of picks, right? So if we see somebody we want to go get at the quarterback or any position, we have enough picks now where we can say, hey, we want him. What's up? So it kind of works out for both organizations. Deshaun Watson wasn't coming back to Houston.
Yeah, no, he definitely
Cleveland
was
got
not
what they
coming back.
needed. Houston got a plethora of picks, so it works out.
Yeah, I think, man, when you look at this thing, here's what from a football standpoint, it's a great move for Cleveland. I mean, yes, they gave up a lot. They gave up a lot of picks to get this to happen, right? But the thing is, they already have the defense in place. They already have a pretty decent offensive line. They already have a great running game. So they're going to be able to bring in some receivers, some guys back probably even, who are going to be willing to come back, or you're going to be able to get some guys who want to come in and play on lower deals just because. And you got Amari Cooper already there. I know, people, kind of clown. We joke a little bit about with Cowboy fans about, but Amari Cooper is a really good receiver. So from a football standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. What I want to address is kind of this other issue, right? Because there's a word that a lot of people in this media don't seem to understand. It's the word alleged. So you have these 22 alleged victims alleging that Deshaun Watson did something. There's been no proof that he did anything. There wasn't even enough proof that two juries felt comfortable sending him to trial. Now, that doesn't mean that he's completely innocent. It doesn't mean that nothing happened. It just means that as of right now, we have no reason to continue to assume this dude is guilty. Yet, all week, I've been seeing article after article after article about how Cleveland sold their soul, how Cleveland made a deal with the devil, how Cleveland is willing to, give up, their morals and wallow in the mud because they've been bad for so long. I'm not a fan of this thing where somebody gets publicly accused of something and we just assume the person is guilty. There's no evidence that he's done anything. Until evidence comes out that actually clearly shows that he's guilty, can we stop this nonsense? That's all I'm saying. I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that, man, but
I do. I want to say this. The media has pushed aside the fact that there were multiple women. I'm not going to attempt to give the number because I didn't get a chance to, look at that information. Just had LASIK recently, so not in the position where I'm able to do any research on this at the moment. But there were a multitude of women who did come out and sign affidavits saying that they, were massaged that Deshaun Watson massaged them, and there were no issues. He was nothing but professional. So my thing is, everything's only being pushed from the negative side of things in regards to Deshaun Watson. This is a man who let's look at the holistically. This person, college, no issues. NFL, no issues until this. No people coming out of the closet from 5 years ago saying, yeah, when he was in college, he made me massage him and he harassed me. None of that. This is just a group of people. And I'm not going to sit here and try to say that these people are not telling the truth or that they are. What I'm going to say is the assumption has been made that because they made the claims that they're telling the truth. And even if Deshaun Watson is exonerated based on the fact that there's not enough evidence to prove it, doesn't matter. And I have to ask myself, where was this sense of continuing disregard for Ben Roethlisberger with the incident that went on with him? That incident happened, brushed away, keep it moving. That was the sexual assault as well.
Yeah.
So why is Deshaun Watson, I get that there's more people, but why is Deshaun Watson being treated this way when Ben Roethlisberger is basically been exonerated in public opinion and everything from the incident that he was a part of. So the only answer that I can come up with is that they want this to ruin this particular man's chance to continue his NFL career. I have my own opinions as to why, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say, look yourselves in the mirror. Everyone who has decided that Deshaun Watson is 100% without a doubt guilty, even though there are no formal charges, and ask yourself, why did you have the same type of incense, the same level of incense and unhappiness and disregard for the individual when it was Ben Roethlisberger who was in a situation with sexual assault? It should be continual. If there's a problem every time, there should be a major uproar every time. That has not happened. But to this individual who has no other blemishes on his record, all of a sudden he's the most terrible person, and you should even be a Browns fan, and he's your quarterback. I find that questionable. I think a lot of people need to look down deep and see what your real problem is with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I will say, with the Roethlisberger thing, I don't know. I don't remember really. Like, I'd have to go back and see like how much the media kept it going. I know a lot of fans kind of held on to it. Um, so I'd have to kind of go back and see what the media did. But I think really just to be clear, like that's your point. It's not we're not talking about just fans holding on to it. We're talking about the actual media
Yes.
continue to report the show.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know fans rode Roethlisberger for a couple of years, but I don't remember how quickly the media went off of it. I do know it was not nearly as long as the fans were holding on to it. But just a little convenient observation, right?
Absolutely.
So there was another big trade that went down just the other day. That was Tyreek Hill going to the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins gave up a first, a second, 2 fourths, and a sixth. 5 total picks. And they're paying this dude, well, it's an average of 30 mil. The guaranteed money doesn't get him to 30 mil, but that's the superficial part of the contract says he's making $30 million. So what do you think about this move? I mean, first of all, just what they gave up draft pick wise, and then secondly, what they paid him.
Well, I honestly think that what they gave up was pretty reasonable for a number one receiver who makes the defense change the way that they play you just by being on the field. You know, he's a guy we don't know yet, but we will find out in this. Or if he was just a weapon that Mahomes was able to use because of his. And the thing with Tyreek Hill is he can also run routes and catch the ball. So he's the rare unicorn of speed. He's fast. He's not a great route runner, but he's a really good route runner. And he actually has hands. You look at some of the fastest guys in the league, and we're not going to go over the list of them. We're only on an hour show, but he's the one that has the hands to go with it.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of speed and you have hands, you give a guy like Tua a weapon like that, and you already got Jalen Waddle on the other side. I mean, you get to the point of it's just ridiculous. It's a situation as far offensively of the rich getting richer.
Yeah, I'm going to say, man, one thing about Tua.
Right. You've got now 2 guys that you have to plan for every play.
Yeah. FYI, man, your internet's like really choppy. So then a couple times I think you're through talking and then you come back like 3 seconds later. I'm gonna talk about Tua real quick, man, because I've been hearing a lot of people like, oh, we're gonna find out about Tua this year. We're gonna see if Tua is for real. No, we're not. We're not going to find out anything because here's the reality. If Tua goes out and has a bad season with all the weapons they just gave him, then we will know for sure that Tua is a bad quarterback. We can find that out with 100% certainty. But if he goes out and he has a great season, let's not pretend that a lot of y'all not going to run around and say, oh, the only reason he had a good season is because they put all these weapons around him. Y'all not going to give this dude no credit for being a good quarterback if he goes out and has a good season. You're going to say it's because he got these receivers. But if he goes out and has a bad season, y'all going to be quick to trash him. So stop this. We're going to find out what kind of quarterback Tua is. Because the best case scenario is he's going to be a serviceable quarterback in a lot of y'all's eyes. And you're going to have a lot of fans out there that they've already decided that Tua is not a great quarterback. And they're going to push for the Dolphins to go get somebody else until Tua takes them all the way to the championship. And it's just it's a factor of how young quarterbacks are treated in this league, man. It's ridiculous.
Certain young quarterbacks. I'm going to need you to add a word to that, sir. That word is certain young quarterbacks.
I know of another one. A guy that you're familiar with.
And who might that be, sir?
That would be Jalen Hurts, sir. A guy who people don't want to, give a chance to grow.
Certain young quarterbacks. Because I know a guy in New England who can do no wrong.
Yeah, I know another guy out in San Francisco who supposedly isn't ready. So
I know a guy in Chicago that they already don't know if he's the face or if he's going to be able to handle being an NFL quarterback.
It's a good thing that none of those guys have anything in common, with the exception of that guy in New England.
The one that can do no wrong.
Yeah,
that guy. Yeah,
we'll just leave it at that. So, we won't go any further. So here's the question. So we know what this does for the Dolphins, right? I mean, it gives the Dolphins a potentially explosive offense because you're pairing with Jaden Waddle and you got Mike Gesicki out there. So you are giving the weapons down there in Miami, right? But what does this do to Kansas City? Like, because we were just talking about last week how Kansas City was still the best team in the AFC West. I'm not so sure that's true anymore. In fact, I know it's not true.
Well, here's the thing. I said all along that I believe we're just a bit better than Kansas City. Still on the same level, but just a bit better. Now, when you take Tyreek Hill away, I now have to say you're not in the same level. Now I'm feeling more like you're battling to be the second best team in your division. You're out of the opportunity or the competition for number one.
Yeah.
Depending on what you bring in, you may be in a team in the division to be the third best team. Now, so we're not necessarily at the point where it's all gloom and doom. But if we're looking at it in a vacuum right now, Kansas City is definitely not the best team in that division right now. If you believe so, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you have to be a Chiefs fan or hate all of the three teams in the division graciously.
Yeah, man. When you look at that division, it's gotten really tough, and I really don't understand this move. I mean, you added MVS to the equation over there, man, but that's not Tyreek Hill. That you added the dude who, he can get deep on you, but he's not a consistent catcher. So that doesn't replace Tyreek Hill. So that's what's going to be interesting to see.
Oh, don't forget Juju as well.
I did forget to mention Juju, but that doesn't change anything. So speaking of wide receivers, I'm gonna jump into let's talk about what are some like head scratching free agency decisions that people have actually made. So let's go ahead and start with the obvious one, Christian Kirk. Now we're not gonna spend a lot of time on this because we did talk a little bit about this one last week. But you got a guy who it's not so much that you signed him, it's what you paid him. To get the kind of money that he is making for the production that he's had to this point is just it's asinine 10, 11, 12, 13, all the way up to like 700 and something. Here's my question. Is there a more head scratching move in free agency so far in your mind?
Not that I can think of. Outside of the fact that JJ Arcega-Whiteside is still an Eagles receiver. No.
I can understand why you would feel that way. This one man, this interesting. I've got the numbers pulled up here. I was trying to find them. So, Seattle, is part of trading Russell Wilson. They brought in Noah Fant, and I get the value in having a two tight end system. So, I don't think it's crazy that they brought Will Disley back, but they actually are paying this dude a 3-year, $24 million contract. That actually makes him a top 15 player at his position. But check this out. In his first 2 seasons, he's had 10 games played. And he's only had 46 catches for 483 yards and 3 touchdowns during the 2020 and 2021 seasons. That's a guy that you're going to pay as a top 15 player at his position. Now, I understand he's a good blocker, but he can't stay healthy. That's a boneheaded decision.
Well, I just say Seattle. I guess they got money to blow right now. Or
I guess
better off to say, blow. I guess that's what they got right now. But
it's pretty crazy.
I think you got to do something at the quarterback position. You got to figure that out. So nothing is better for a young quarterback or a veteran quarterback that hasn't played a lot of games than having tight ends, those safety nets. So I guess you want to get the 2 best you can out there. You bring in Drew Lock, you bring his tight end with him. You re-sign Will Disley. Maybe they're going to roll with that for a season. See how that works, which we both know the answer. But see how that works, and then reevaluate things next offseason.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put this out here because I've been getting a lot of questions about this. So I'm just going to go and take a minute to break this down right now. So people keep asking me what's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo. Is he going to get traded? Why hasn't he been traded? All this other stuff. So I'm just going to go and address it here. And I'm going to go ahead and make a mental note to put a timestamp at 38 minutes so that I can just bookmark this and send it to people for like the rest of the summer. Here's the thing. Let's look at the quarterbacks that got traded. Okay. The Broncos went after Russell Wilson. Is Russell Wilson a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo? Absolutely. The Browns went and got Deshaun Watson. Is Deshaun Watson a better quarterback? Absolutely. Okay. You got the Bills, not the Bills. Joe Reese said no one missed the train wreck that goes with AB. Yep, that's true. You had the Steelers is who I was trying to think of. They went out and got a move that I think is a little questionable, but it kind of makes sense. Mitchell Trubisky, right? On one hand, Pittsburgh has the pieces in place. And so I would have expected them to want to get a quarterback who has proven they can actually win more. But at the same time, I mean, Trubisky does have some talent. He is a guy who actually took the Bears to the playoffs. And guess what? This is for my 49ers fans out there. He cost them 0 draft picks. Okay. The Colts traded for Matt Ryan. They gave up a third. The rumor is San Francisco wanted 2 seconds for Jimmy Garoppolo. Are you going to give up 2 seconds for Jimmy or a third for Matt Ryan? I'm probably going to give up a third for Matt Ryan, especially if Atlanta's willing to pay some of his contract. Atlanta went out and replaced him with Marcus Mariota. If I'm Atlanta, why would I trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? My team's going to be garbage this year. I know that. I might as well get a young guy like Mariota who might be able to come in and prove something this year that we might be able to build around. The Saints brought Jameis Winston back. He already knows their system. So these are all logical moves. Not to mention the fact that Jimmy just had shoulder surgery. The reality is it's probably going to be training camp or right before training camp when we get to trade Jimmy. It might be at the draft. But listen, if you're a 49ers fan, you're frustrated, relax. Jimmy's not going to be on the team come the start of the season. It's going to be Trey's team. Take a deep breath, 49ers fans. Breathe. You're going to be okay. I promise. You're not going to have to watch Jimmy be your starting quarterback again. Relax. I just need to get that off my chest.
Now, I'll say from my end, the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting with bated breath for cut Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, excuse me, you got me thinking Jimmy Garoppolo. Baker Mayfield. And if they do cut Baker Mayfield, Pittsburgh is going to pounce on him like a cat on a rat. So let's just say if Baker Mayfield gets released and not traded, the reports are he will be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. That's what's been circulating. I think, as I told you, my opinion of Jimmy going to the Steelers, I don't think he fits what they want, right? They want someone that like a young or version of Ben Roethlisberger where you can run when necessary. Not saying you expect you to go out there and run like you're Lamar Miller type running back, or not like a Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, or even, some of the secondary running backs on teams. But they want a guy who can make plays with his legs as well. And I don't believe that that's Jimmy at this point in his career. So I don't feel like he fit what they were looking for. There are places he could still go. He could still go to the Seahawks. They may get in training camp, see that they have a train wreck in their room, and decide to go in a different direction. He could go to the Panthers. They're another team that, it wouldn't hurt to have him. But I think the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo and the teams that are left out there that may be looking for him as a starter or as a mentor, you have to probably come down on that price.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's going to be determinant of what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't know if the rumors of the 2 seconds thing is true. Even I would say that price is a little high. I said before the season, like second would be a great return on investment for us. I wouldn't even be upset about a third because we gave up a second for him. We went to a Super Bowl and an NFC Championship game. If we get a third back out of him, I'm happy. Hell, for that matter, if we get a fourth out of him, I'm probably happy, to be honest. But, I feel like we could probably at least get a second for him. But 2 seconds? No, it's too much.
I'm just saying, whatever they're asking, it needs to go down because teams are not biting.
I'm not sure that teams are really doing much of anything, to be honest with you. I really think the shoulder is kind of scaring a lot of teams off. They wanted a guy that they knew was going to be ready.
Or has scared a lot of teams off, yeah.
Yeah, and with his injury history, I think it's a fair concern for people to have. They want to see him throw the ball first. I don't think that's
quick question for you, man. What about the 49ers fans? And I know there is a contingent who believe Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on the team next year. Well, what do you think would happen if that were to occur?
I think that would be the absolute worst thing the 49ers could do. So let's see. Here it says, no, they don't want Jimmy. I assume he's talking about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But yeah, here's the thing, man. It would be a really bad idea for San Francisco to keep Jimmy for one very simple reason. Okay. Say what you want about Jimmy as a quarterback. Okay. We've had the conversation. I'm personally of the opinion that Jimmy's going to make top 5 quarterback plays. He's also going to make bottom 5 quarterback plays. And ultimately you're getting a slightly above average quarterback is what you're getting in the grand scheme of things, who will occasionally make amazing throws and occasionally have boneheaded plays. But despite that, the locker room loves the dude. He is a leader. His teammates absolutely love him, which means as long as he's in that locker room, it can never be Trey Lance's team. Even if it means having to cut Jimmy Garoppolo before training camp starts and get nothing for him, you have to let him go.
To make a long story short, he's the Nick Foles to Carson Wentz.
So Joe Reese says he'll take that number 1 pick who already played with a chip on his shoulder, who now has a boulder on his shoulder, and the opportunity to be his former team 2 times, maybe 3 every season. So obviously, in reference to Baker Mayfield and the possibility of him coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
2 times. 2 times.
2
Today
times.
and hop it in the comments. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's kind of where my thought is to answer your question. I think that's stupid, man. Like, even if you have to just cut him loose, you have to. By the time training camp starts, it has to be clear to everyone on the roster, this is Trey Lance's team. Time to move forward. Time to let Jimmy go. So get something for him if you can. If you can't, take the $2 million dead money hit and move on. I mean, let's be honest. You gave up a second-round pick for the dude. He took you to a Super Bowl. He took you to an NFC championship. He brought the team back to being relevant. You've gotten a second-round value out of Jimmy Garoppolo. If you get nothing else, it's okay. I mean, of course, I'd love to get something in return, but if you don't, it is what it is. I'm just ready to move on and get the ball to Trey Lance and let him run with it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Just curious to get your opinion.
Yeah. I know that it differs from some other 49er fans out there, but
yes, it does.
Those people are what I like to call wrong. They know who they are too, so I don't have to say no names right now. One thing I want to point back out real quick because I was looking through my notes here. So one additional interesting note about the Christian Kirk contract. DJ Shark signed with Detroit, and Christian Kirk is making about 175% more annually than DJ Shark. I don't think that Christian Kirk is 175% better.
Well, the thing with Chark is he has to take the 1-year prove-it deal because of injury history. So he goes out there. He has a year where he plays every game without any major injuries, without missing time. I think you see him, especially with what Christian Kirk has done to the market, cashing in.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I feel where you're coming from. It definitely makes sense. But it's just going to be another example of guy has a good year. Inflated payment is going to be anticipated due to that contract.
I'm going to give you one more move that I think was ridiculous over in my division. And then if you have any you want to throw out, feel free to. James Conner. I mean, I'm not opposed to the fact the Cardinals brought him back. I don't think that in and of itself was a bad move. I think the fact that you're paying James Conner as a top 10 running back is absolutely ridiculous.
The only thing that I can say about that contract is it makes more sense to pay him now, because while it may be a top 10 contract now, the way contracts are going, it'll probably be a bottom 20 contract next year.
Well, if he was a wide receiver or quarterback, yeah, running back, I don't know. You might be a top 5 running back by the 2 years.
Dude, everybody gonna start getting paid. It's gonna be crazy.
So did you have any that you want to throw in? If not, we'll go ahead and move on to some of the moves that I liked and like moves that you might have liked as well.
No, sir. I think I'm a head scratcher, but there hasn't been many that stood out to me so far. Like it's really, really bad because
Yeah.
a lot will depend on what happens in the remainder of free agency and the draft.
Yeah. So to me, I gotta say, man, the best free agency signing, so not trades or anything like that, but the best free agency signing, um, there's actually a couple, but I'm gonna say the one individual one was the Rams getting Allen Robinson. Wasn't happy about that one, but I think that was huge for them,
Mm, that
especially for what
was
they were able
really
to bring him in for.
big. That was really big with Woods and OBJ hurt and
Yeah,
going to miss significant time. It was huge to be able to bring in a guy who can be a number two, maybe a number three, depending on the ascension of Van Jefferson, who,
okay.
by the way, is a really good guy. Got to talk to him at the Super Bowl. Really good
You can
guy. But
catch
I
that.
think
You can catch that interview on our YouTube channel under the Super Bowl playlist.
absolutely. But yeah, I think that was a major move for them. And then to be able to make the move with Robert Woods on the back end, that was an affected them landing Allen Robinson. That was a good move. Yeah. I can't argue with that. That was a good move.
Now, one I know you're gonna have some opinions on that I think was also a really huge pickup. Actually, was Hassan Reddick coming to the Eagles.
So I'm going to use my calm voice here because I can't because of the eye surgery, I can't get too hyped or anything right now. So just imagine me yelling as I say these things because I'm a needed position, a dog. Move him to linebacker, outside linebacker a little bit. You don't want to play in there too much, but you can use the versatility in our offense and defense where we're gonna need some versatility. We got a young coordinator. We need pieces. Hometown guy from Temple. Love to have him in that green, and hopefully he's going to be rocking that Kelly green this year if the organization does the right thing. Come on, Eagles, let's go. But this pickup, grade A, major pickup, um, a guy in his prime that pays the right position, and we didn't overpay to get him. We paid a good market value, but we didn't overpay to get him. Great
Yep.
freaking pickup, Eagles. Too bad you don't do it often.
So, another team that made a really big series of moves was the Cincinnati Bengals. They brought in Lowell Collins, who Dallas let go of. They brought in Tick Harris as well as Alex Kappa. So the Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year. Would have probably won the Super Bowl if they could have actually slowed down the Rams pass rush. So what did they do? They said, "Oh, remember last year when everybody said we should have drafted an offensive lineman instead of drafting Jamar Chase? Well, now we have Jamar Chase and we have a very good-looking offensive line." So I think they might even like if you look at all the big names and all the big moves, let's be legit. They might have just done more than anybody else because they really just fixed the weakest position on their team, and they were already a Super Bowl team last year.
I want to say there was a certain individual who's stroking his own ego, who stated, why not get Jamar Chase and then figure out the lineman? Because Jamar Chase is Jamar Chase. Linemen are out there to be got by free agency or in draft in other rounds. I remember a certain individual, when you have a weakness, you have the funds and you have the ability to go get top tier players to fill those holes, and you do it in free agency with guys that you know can get it done, not you're hoping or projecting. That's how you better your team, and that's what Cincinnati did. Big ups to them.
Yeah. So they did some big stuff there. Uh, for me, a team that I like what they did overall, but I'm not crazy about one particular move. Is the Buffalo Bills. I like the addition of Von Miller, but I think they're paying him too much money. So that one's kind of a praise and a head scratcher on one for me.
Yeah, that contract has got to be, the guaranteed money has got to be low.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's got to be.
But they also added Tim Settle and Daquan Jones. So I mean, you got you got the middle of that line good to go. Beef that up a little bit. So yeah, I mean they're doing some big stuff out there. The Bengals are not the Bengals. The Raiders also got Chandler Jones,
They did.
who's now going to be opposite of Max Crosby. So that's huge. Anytime you can have two really dominant ends like that, it's going to be very difficult for teams to block. And the Raiders already had, some stuff too. And they traded for
Especially
some
in
dude
that
named
division.
Devontae. Look, and they made a trade for some dude named Devontae Adams. I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of him before, but yeah.
Don't he play tight end or something? Don't he catch the ball?
Yeah, he definitely catches the ball, man. Speaking of teams that kind of maybe knocked themselves down a peg, we were talking about Kansas City earlier. The Green Bay Packers did not do themselves any favors with that move. So we'll see. I know everybody's kind of like, oh, they'll draft multiple receivers and all this. I mean, they haven't proven that they're prone to do that, and they haven't proven that they're very good at it when they have. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, according to pundits, man, there's about 7 or 8 really high quality 1 or 2 wide receivers in the draft. So Green Bay better jump on a couple of those. I mean, there's still some guys that may be available by trade too, right? So there's still maybe other moves that we aren't privy to as of yet that may happen. But again, as we look right now, not looking too good for Green Bay. Not looking too good.
Now, let's talk about the Chargers. Now, this was a team last year that the offense looked good. The defense, not so much. So they already had Joey Bosa, and they already had Derwin James. They added J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, Sebastian Joseph Day, Austin Johnson. They re-signed Mike Williams, and they added Gerald Everett. That's pretty nasty.
We should be referring to them as the LA Superchargers right now, sir. What they did was very, very intellectual. They went out and got guys that not only by name, but that they feel like fit into their system. We're able to plug multiple holes in one offseason in a division where you're going to need that, because you're going to go up against, 6 divisional games against quality quarterbacks. And then not to mention non-divisional games and different things, but you're in a division where you need defense. You're in a conference where you're going to need defense, because a lot of the better quarterbacks and teams look to start forming out west, and especially in the AFC West. So I think it was a very wise series of moves to take your weakness and at least make it as good as your strength while keeping Mike Williams. Gerald Everett obviously is not a guy that you look at and moves the needle, but given the targets and given the opportunities and not put him in any kind of tight end timeshare and see what you get. That's going to be a good pickup for them as well. So they did some things offensively, but they really strengthened that defense, and that was needed.
Yeah. So to Joe Reed's point real quick about the Bengals, that they did have Jamar Chase running wide open. Jalen Ramsey actually was the guy who fell down. And if Aaron Donald doesn't get there, man, that's probably a touchdown, and the Bengals win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're talking a different story if he has time to make that throw. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Dan Gilbert joining us. And he's saying that he actually likes the Chargers to win that division right now. So
Yeah, I would agree with him 100%.
yeah, I'm still waiting. I want to see what Herbert does this year. I think it's possible they could win. I'm just not as sold on him as everybody else is. So
Well, I'm
listen,
more
man.
so on the
If
team
Derwin
as a
James goes
whole than
down, it's
him
gonna hurt.
individually.
Yeah. If Derwin James goes down, that's gonna really hurt that Chargers defense. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting
Yeah.
to see. Um, the Ravens are another team. They added Marcus Williams. They added a right tackle in Morgan Moses as well. A couple other pieces. So they addressed some of their big concerns that they have. I think Marcus Williams was the big add for them though, because the way they like to run their defense, they really need a safety like Marcus Williams to be able to come in there and make
Yeah.
that defense work. So that was a huge pickup for them. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we're missing. I think that's really like the biggest moves right now. We are
Absolutely.
actually at time, so I will go ahead and go ahead and wrap this up a little bit, man. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share real quick before we wrap it up?
I do. I would like to shout out the Charlotte, North Carolina FC, the Charlotte FC Football Club, for their first MLS victory. It was a pleasure to watch.
We lost you there for a second.
Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said?
I heard it sounded like a sarcastic remark about how I don't watch soccer, but we
Yes.
lost
Okay.
you for a minute.
You got it. That was it. You got it.
So Gilbert says Fowler. Yes, Fowler was also a good pickup. We actually will have to look at some of the available free agents maybe this week. Maybe we'll post about that on our Twitter. Or we'll just wait and see if someone gets signed this week and go. I will make this one final point before we wrap it up. If you are someone who's really been kind of watching free agency, I know it's been exciting. Seeing all the big trades, seeing the big names go, looking at the big signings, and it's easy to get caught up on that. This week, next week, even a week after that, that's when teams really win free agency. It's not the big names. It's the little names. It's the teams that fill holes. That's what matters. So be on the lookout for some of these teams that are making these sneaky good moves. Guys that maybe don't blow you away, but they really feel a need on a team. Those are the teams that ultimately are going to win free agency. It's not about who spends the most money. It's about who puts the best team together. And the best team isn't always the one that has the top players at a position. Just throwing it out there.
Oh, and guys, just for those of you who are NBA heads, do not worry. Fear not. We are approaching playoffs. We will be talking NBA in the forthcoming weeks. And we may even sprinkle in a few guests to have a little bit of a NBA insight that they can add. So stay tuned to your boys. We about to get it.
There's gonna be weeks, man, where like we'll just be talking pretty much NBA the whole show. So don't worry, it's coming. We're going to talk lots of NBA. So we have not forgot about the NBA. Got y'all. Well, man, with that, want to go ahead and just thank everybody who tuned in tonight, man. Especially appreciate everybody joining in the chat, being interactive with us, watching the show. See y'all back next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't already, man, do us a favor, hit that like button. That's what lets YouTube know that you enjoy the show and that they should share it with other people. And that's what helps us grow. So we would definitely appreciate if y'all could do that.
And tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's go. Play calls.
And